Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's finally time to look over the cards from Dominaria and make sure that there's not some overlooked cards that are perfect for, well, really Guilds of Ravnica decks, because that's all that people are building these days. It makes sense, because if you had an Ixalan deck, you would have already considered Dominaria, but yeah, some of these cards were even surprising to me, and in the middle of making this video, I've actually opened up Arena to put them in my deck. So I think you'll find this pretty useful if you're a deck builder. So first up, we got Adamant Will. So it is instant speed, it's single white, that's cool, but it does cost 2. Now there's like 3 or 4 other cards that cost 1 and give you like +2/+2 basically, or you get a special effect, gain 2 life, gain 1 life for each attacking creature. So is this worth the extra mana? I'm gonna say for indestructible, yes. This might be a sideboard swap with other ambush spells, but it's one of the better ones because no matter what, it is going to live, and you can play around Death Touch. So it's not amazing, just remember that it's an option. Next up, Adventurous Impulse. A lot of people are finding some value in this, and it is a common, so I mean, don't forget it. So for 1, as a sorcery, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, which is not that many, but okay. But then you can reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it in your hand. So you put the rest on the bottom, too. So it's like a little super scry, and then you're basically drawing the card, not for rules reasons, but it's going to your hand. I mean, this is basically Green's version of Opt, but at sorcery speed. So yeah, this is pretty good. Like early game and late game, so this might be what you need for consistency. Next up, Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. A lot of people are playing white-black knights and not playing this card. I mean, it's a little slow, but I mean, it's still a 4/4 for 4, so it's also Vigilance. I mean, you can't beat that. And also, that artwork is freaking nuts. But you can pay 2 and tap her, like second main phase after attacking with Vigilance, or in the middle of combat, you could do this as well. Create a 2/2 white knight creature with Vigilance. Okay, and then you pay 1 black and tap it, tap X untap knights you control, and destroy target creature with power X or less. You could do that right after your opponent summons whatever it is, too. So if you have a vigilance-heavy knight deck, especially a Knight Angel mix, oh my gosh, run this card. Next up, Baird, Steward of Argive. He's a vigilance creature, 2/4 for 4, double white, so not the friendliest, but creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. Can you say bye-bye Flood? No more Token Flood, no more Goblin Flood. Saprolings, nope. I can't imagine mainboarding this. It's a human soldier, oh boy, but definitely keep it in your sideboard because it will just completely shut down swarm decks. Just utterly gone. Next up, oh, you knew it was coming. Blackblade Reforged. If you're playing enough legendaries, run it, and if you're playing enough ramp, run it. +1/+1 for each land you control, and it only costs 2 to dump out. I mean, the equip 3 on legendary, equip 7, that's, not like amazing, but I mean, for what it does, it is. So just keep this in mind if you happen to be running a lot of legendaries, might be worth it. Next up, another 1 cost instant, love that. Target creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn, and if it's legendary, it also gains lifelink. So very unnecessary. I mean, that goes from, ooh, that's a good card, to holy crap if it's legendary. So if you were running absolutely 0 legendaries in your deck, you could totally still run this. This is one of the better ambush spells in black, let alone ones that cost 1. Plus, you can save your best legendary from, like a, I don't know, lightning strike or something. So next up, Champion of Flame. I really like this one. So it's a human warrior with trample 1/1 for 2, but it gets +2/+2 for each aura or equipment attached to it. This card and like the other 2 like it were so unbelievably annoying before rotation, and most of them are still here. So if you wanted to build a stupid gimmicky all-in deck with this, you're going to get shredded by control, but it's funny because it's absolutely a turn 4 deck all day. Next up, Coldwater Snapper. It's a 4/5 for 6, and it's just straight hexproof, so it is a problem if you drop this in. I mean, yeah, it costs 6 and it does next to nothing, and ooh, turtle synergy, but it's still a 4/5 hexproof creature. I mean, that's hard to do something about. If you could like cheat them in or discount them, or if you're doing in the very near future, what would that be, Simic hexproof? Might be an option, maybe. Depends what their mechanic is. Next up, Demonic Vigor. I rated this one of the absolute best spells in the entire set. So it costs 1, so if somebody gets rid of this, counters it, whatever, you ain't losing much. Enchant creature, they get +1/+1. That's already not bad, but then when it dies, return it to its owner's hand. They have to kill it twice in the whole time you made it bigger. Holy crap. I mean, you want to talk about playing around control, and you're playing around control, and this isn't just an insurance policy. You paid 1, so of course you can fit this in your deck, and then it gets +1/+1 the whole time, making it also, by the way, harder to kill. Hey, put that with the red aura guy. Oh my gosh. Next up, Dreadshade. This was one of the most powerful cards at the pre-release. And it's still good. I mean, yeah, it's triple black, but, you know, there was 5 cards that were all triple colored. Chain Whirler was one of them. Banalish was another. Steel Leaf Champion was another. I mean, they're good. People just seem to forget about this one. So it has, like, super fire breathing. I mean, it's +1/+1, not +1/+0 for 1 black. So, I mean, if you even just had the 3 to bring them out and then you're stuck, cool, you're swinging with the 6/6 the next turn. Hey, you know what would go great with him? Having to kill him twice with Demonic Vigor, the card I just said before this. Next up, Evra, Halcyon Witness. It's up there at 6 and it's only a 4/4, but it has lifelink, so that's cool. And then if you pay for it at any time, you can exchange your life total with Evra, Halcyon Witness's power. So if they're swinging at you and you've got 25 life, you can make this thing have 25 attack, and your life total does become 4, but assuming that combat resolves, it has lifelink. You just gain 25 life, and this thing keeps that stat forever. People who have played this online have gotten up into the hundreds for their life total. I mean, if they can't destroy this, they're gone. I mean, that's why this is hilarious to play in blue-white. It's a little bit much to invest in when it's 6 and it's only a 4/4, but I think even if you just hit something once or they destroy it or you draw fire, I mean, whatever, at least you tried. But like literally 1 turn later, the game is over. Unless they have a very timely trick where like you're swinging and then you swap your life total with this power and then they hit seal away or something. Yeah, you're pretty much screwed, but then again, the rest of your deck probably is lifelink too, so you might be able to do something about it, but it's dangerous, but it's still pretty funny too. Next up, Fervent Strike. Just don't forget, this is Sure Strike, but cheaper and not 3. So, I mean, if you're going to do some little First Strike ambush thing or some kind of is it spell spam tricks with a lot of combat, there you go. I mean, +1 in First Strike until end of turn for 1. I mean, being 50% off a Sure Strike and then, you know, being pretty sure that you're going to kill something with 1 extra, not bad. Next up, one of my personal favorites, Fight with Fire. So it does 5 damage to any target creature for 3. So it's sorcery speed, but I mean, this thing for 3 can take down some beastly stuff. I mean, there goes Steel Leaf, there goes Demanding Dragon. I've killed Nicol Bolas with this spell. I've killed Niv Mizzet with it. Also, in a very extended game, like for example, my Izzet deck, if you can pay a total of 9, which is pretty high, you can deal 10 damage divided however you want among any number of targets. So we're talking Planeswalkers, life total, creatures in play, whatever, and you can do some damage with this. So it's, I don't know, probably what the second best spell after Lava Coil for just pure let's blow some stuff up with red. Arguably Banefire might be second place. But that kicker, in case you can get to it, wow. So I have gotten to it too, by the way. So yeah, don't forget this card in the right type of deck. Or really just any deck where you need red removal. Next up, Forebear's Blade. I'm still waiting for this to take off. At bare minimum, it should be in a Convoke deck. It's a +3 Vigilance and Trample equipment that, yeah, it's 3 to drop, 3 to equip, but once you've equipped it once, you almost don't have to pay to equip it again, because whenever equipped creature dies, you can attach Forebear's Blade to a different target creature. Like, as in for free, not just so you can pay to do it. No, it just jumps to the next creature. So every single time you go into combat, something is going to have Vigilance, Trample, and +3. That gets really lethal really quick, and what are they going to do? Oh, kill the guy holding the sword. Oh, crap, it's on the next token. Kill that one. Oh, now it's on the next one. This is really quite funny. I think it's just overall a better card than some of, like, the auras that people are casting for similar costs. Like, Blanchwood Armor, oh, they killed it. Well, now you're screwed. You lost 2 cards. Next up, we got this absolute craziness. One of the best ramp cards in Standard right now, Grow from the Ashes. So it's 3 with Kicker 2, so 5. I mean, that's reasonable. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield untapped. That doesn't happen a lot. Then shuffle your library. If it was kicked, go for 2 basic lands. They don't even have to match a type. And put them onto the battlefield untapped. You almost can refund this entire spell. I mean, yeah, okay, it's, you know, you get 2 back and you spent 5, or you get 1 back and you spent 3, but like, that's not bad. It's a little late. I mean, it's not as good as like a Llanowar, but it's the same cost as that one elf that goes and gets a land and plops it into the battlefield, so why not run this? Next up, one of my personal favorites, because I'm still mad that we lost Rolling Thunder, it's Jaya's Immolating Inferno. So, I know, you can only cast this wonderful legendary sorcery if you have a legendary permanent in play. Or a Planeswalker, I'm glad they said that. So, if you think you can pull that off, and if you've got a lot of mana, oh my gosh. So, red, and then X, and then it deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets, not split. So you make X5, 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage, and that's any targets. So we're talking Planeswalkers, life totals, and creatures. Wow. I wish this couldn't be countered. I think that would have been a lot more fair considering you have to have a legendary permanent in play, but whatever. If you can get this off, ooh. Next up, Keldon Warcaller. It's a 2-cost 2/2, and whenever it attacks, put a lore counter on target Saga you control. So this is one of the only Saga accelerators in Standard. I think it actually is the only one. And remember, the ability goes off the second that the counter is put on it, so you can get 2 activations in 1 turn. It's a shame it's red because red doesn't have the best Sagas, but I don't know, in like a red-black deck where you're trying to wall install and fry them with amplified spell damage with Gutter Snipe and Electro Wall thingy, I could see this being fun and interesting, plus it's a 2/2 for 2 otherwise, so, whatever. Next up, Quendi or Quende, I don't know, Pride of Femerif, or as a whole bunch of people have apparently nicknamed it, Wakanda Forever. He has double strike, he's a 2/2 for 4, so okay, not the best, but creatures you control with first strike have double strike. Fun. He's also a knight, and a bunch of black and white knights have first strikes, so you can see why this would be a pretty damn good card in black-white knights. Now this plus the other one I mentioned both cost 4, knights are supposed to be faster than that, but with this level of first strike, why not? Next up, a lot of the spell lands and ability lands are garbage right now because a lot of the good ones were in, honestly, BFZ, but also, stuff that just rotated. But Memorial to Glory is one of the better ones. It enters battlefield tap, so that sucks, but it taps for 1 white without losing a life or anything. That's cool. And then late in the game, you can pay 4, which is really 5, because you're tapping this land to use the ability, and sacrifice it and then create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. That can save you. I mean, if you're top decking, just be like, oh, that's right, I have a spell, kind of. And if you're doing like token synergy, creature count, some kind of convoke thing, maybe throw 1 or 2 of these in. Next up, oh my gosh, is this card underappreciated? Merfolk Trickster. They had to make it double blue because it is so stupidly powerful. So it's a 2/2 for 2, so already, okay, especially for blue. It has flash. Oh yes, and when it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls, it loses all abilities until end of turn. So, in the middle of combat, it's already tapped, who cares, ignore it. Oops, it just lost all abilities. Now it's on the ground if it was flying. Now it loses Death Touch, it loses Vigilance, Double Strike, it lost everything. So you just drop this in and you could almost just block with it and ta-da, there goes your first strike, now you're dead. When it says all abilities, it means triggered abilities too. Well, hell, it means activated abilities. I mean, this thing is very nice. It can screw with people. It's a really good ambush. Next up, a horribly underappreciated card, Phyrexian Scriptures. It's a 4-cost Saga, and number 1 is put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Okay, cool. That might hold off combat for a bit, you never know. And then number 2, destroy all non-artifact creatures. Hello. There are almost no effects in the game that do that right now, especially in black. I mean, the Ritual of Soot, maybe, kind of unreliable. And then number 3 is exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. That's interesting. So I guess they're not bringing those guys back. I mean, that's just unnecessary. This is basically like 2 is the ultimate and 3 is just some little bonus random thing. So hey, it's 1 turn faster than most Sagas. I like it. Next up, Precognition Field. I'm kind of surprised this isn't in anything yet. It is a 4-cost enchantment, but you may look at the top card of your library. You may cast it if it's an instant or sorcery card, and then if you really don't like it, pay 3 and exile the top card of your library. Get rid of it. Oh my gosh, load up a counterspell. Keep Is It going up your charge counters for free without draw. I mean, you could do anything with this, and enchantments are very difficult to remove. I love this. I mean, you got to have a hell of a lot of mana to run this, but yeah, if you do, it's pretty good. So this is for like slow planeswalkery, maybe, slow Is It with all the higher 4, 5, 6 cards, it's just stall, and then let's do some Is It stuff instead of just Is It blitz, let's do some damage. Next up, Seismic Shift. I just think this card's hilarious. It's not even that good, it's just kind of funny. You can win the game with it though. It costs 4 and it's a sorcery and it's only a single red, so pretty flexible. Destroy target land, which is usually not worth it at all, unless your entire deck is land destruction and they're never going to allow that to be a thing. But then up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn. Well, isn't that interesting? Good way to win the game if stuff can't block and you can swing unopposed. So what that has to do with destroying a land, I have no idea, but it's funny. Or he's got to do something, giving them one less mana, one less way to respond, I guess. I don't know. Next up, settle the score. Exile target creature and put 2 loyalty counters on a planeswalker you control. Or as I like to call it, Super Ghetto Vraska's Contempt. I mean, it can't hit a planeswalker in its sorcery speed and it's still double black. That's why I said it's super ghetto discount Vraska's Contempt. But if you can't afford them, you could try this. I mean, exiling a creature instead of destroying it, there's something to be said for that. How often does Vraska's Contempt really take out a planeswalker? So if you want to spend 25 cents instead of like, what, $25? Like, what the hell even is it right now? This is probably a good alternative. And hey, if you're running planeswalkers, I mean, 2 extra loyalty counters? Ooh, you could alt that a little bit early. Next up, Shivan Fire. It's a 1-cost instant. It does 2 damage to target creature only, not a player or any other target. So, okay, 2 damage for 1. I mean, whatever. It's not bad. But then if you kick it, which it costs 5, which is ridiculous, you can deal 4 damage instead. So the optionality is there. You got the early game, you got the late game. It's flexible, but that is all it has going for it. But if you need very particular fast, removal, this is not beyond considering. Next up, arguably the best Goblin in Standard right now, Siege Gang Commander. It is only a 2/2 for 5, but it is what it is. So when it enters the battlefield, you do get 3 red goblins. So you're going to get your 5/5 for 5 total. It's just modular, which is actually kind of nicer. And then if you pay 2, sack a goblin, it deals 2 damage to any target, including the player's life total. This is Walking Ballista, basically. Okay, it's not as good, but it's damn flexible. In an all-goblins deck, this is the card that causes the most problems. By the way, it survives Ritual of Soot. Next up, another great goblin. We got Squee the Immortal. You want to talk about playing around removal? You can cast this guy from exile. You cannot stop this guy from anything. The best you can do is water knot him and hope they don't kill it. Luminous Bonds, maybe? I mean, it's only a 2/1 for 3, but you can just block forever and then just keep casting him over and over and over no matter what happens to him and where he goes. That's huge. I mean, he's even harder to get rid of than that stupid Phoenix, which is probably in the same deck as this guy. So don't forget him. He is hilarious. Next up, the most powerful blue creature in all of Standard by a long shot. It's actually one of the best blue creatures ever printed in the history of the game. If you look at, average attack power that would be expected to have in the right deck versus cost. I mean, in case you didn't catch the one video I made on it, there are only 2 creatures in the entire history of the game that have an attack power higher than their casting cost and are blue without a downside. There's plenty of them that have downsides. There's like 30. But it's always some horrible catch. You have to flip them. You have to do this, do that, do an extra step, whatever. Well, I mean, this one has a catch. You got to have islands. But other than that, ooh. If you're playing blue heavy or mono blue, this has to be in your deck. It just has to. It just comes out, and if they don't kill it in like a turn or 2, they're dead. I don't care if this card has nothing to do with your deck, throw it in. It doesn't matter. It's just that damn good. Oh, and it's one of the 5 triple costs, so, what does that tell you? So next up, Time of Ice. This one's just kind of fun. It costs 4. I wish it cost 3, but it'll stall out the game pretty good. It's some pretty funny control. If you want to buy time of Ice time. So 1 and 2 are tap target creature and opponent controls it doesn't untap during the next untap step. So it's gone for basically like 2 turns. And then number 3 is return all tapped creatures to their owner's hands. Unfortunately, that means you too. But if they were dumb enough to swing at you the turn before this goes off, they are all gone. You basically get a free River's Rebuke. So they go from can't fully attack you, and then, they really better not have attacked you. So it doesn't really do anything to win the game, but it'll buy you some time. So in the right deck, it's perfect, but it's not amazing. Then we got Torgar Famine Incarnate. Oh my gosh, do I love this card. So he's a 7/6 for 8, so, completely worthless. Let's overlook him. Oh, wait, that's right. We probably should read the rest of the card. Oh, you can sack other creatures, like, for example, Saprolings, probably get a bunch of death triggers, and then this spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacked this way. You could get this down to 2. This is the Ghalta of the black decks. Well, except Ghalta doesn't eat the creatures, but still. When it enters the battlefield, though, up to 1 target player's life total becomes half their starting life total, rounded down. So if you're at 5, target yourself. If they're at 20, target them. Next up, if you're playing a Saga heavy deck, which would be hilarious, I think somebody should probably do that at some point, Tragic Poet is the card you want to run. So it's a 1/1 for 1, so okay, whatever, basic block creature, but then also tap it, sack it, and return an enchantment card from the graveyard to your hand. This was clearly built for Sagas. But, I mean, if you really need Blanchwood Armor or Prodigious Growth back, it's not a terrible way to do it. But yeah, trust me, even some of the white sagas like History of Benalia, being able to just go get it again for 1 mana, wow. And don't forget, you can block with this, and then tap it and sack it and go return it. And then, hey, it was blocked, yay. Hey, speaking of really good white sagas, Triumph of Gerard, oh my gosh, go get this twice. The fact that this only costs 2 is huge, because it feels like it should cost 3. So this was huge before rotation. Haven't seen anybody play it now, but it wouldn't be terrible in a Convoke deck. I mean, you know, it's kind of cool. Its third ability is insane. So put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control with the greatest power. So kind of wish it was the least power, but it depends what you're going for. And then number 3, target creature you control with the greatest power gains flying, first strike, and lifelink until end of turn. So they better get out of the way. You do this turn 2, as long as you dropped out something on turn 1, it's going to be like 25 to 15 real damn quick. Next up, everybody, when we were talking about board wipes, said, oh, don't forget about Cleansing Nova, Cleansing Nova, Cleansing Nova. Literally not one person, not even one single person mentioned this card. And it's probably because it's a legendary sorcery. So exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary, and in order to cast this, you have to have a legendary, well, creature or planeswalker, I guess, out. But this takes out everything, and they are not coming back. This is not bouncing back to hand with River's Rebuke. This is not any kind of old graveyard synergy, oh, I just fed Undergrowth. They are exiled. They are gone. And you are left with at least 1 legendary creature, unless it was a planeswalker, and then, well, fine, just ulted a couple turns later. So yeah, it's another one of those, ooh, it's hyper powerful, it's amazing, and honestly, it should cost 4 in my opinion, but, oh, you can only cast it if a legendary's out. I hate that, it's unreliable, I can't stand it, but in the right deck, this is game ending. Next up, we got Warlord's Fury. Creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn. That's right, all of them for 1 mana, and then you draw a card. Why the hell is nobody playing this in an Enigma Drake based and Crackling Dragon Drake whatever is it deck? I don't know. I have no answer for you. This is the best cantrip in red right now. I mean, people played Expedite and somehow this isn't on their radar. Like, what the hell? So yeah, if you're playing like, is it Spell Mix or Goblin Rush or anything, if you're playing red and you have creatures kind of, run this card. It's hilarious. Next up, hey, have you heard of this card called Arclight Phoenix? Yeah, I know, it's a mythic from Guilds of Ravnica. Stay with me. So, Kevin from Rogue Deck Builders is convinced that this is a good card. It's not. I mean, maybe that's a little generous. He's convinced he can put it in some kind of deck. I wouldn't bother. But if you were smarter than Kevin, so in other words, yes, you would know that there's a virtually identical card in Dominaria called Warcry Phoenix. So it does cost 4, which, okay, that's the same. It's a 2/2 instead of a 3/2. Okay. Flying Haste. Okay. And then whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay 3. If you do, return Phoenix, this Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So which is easier to do in your opinion? Attack with 3 or more creatures or cast 3 or more spells in 1 turn? Oh, instant and sorcery only spells, by the way. I would say that this is better than Arclight as far as like its ability to come back. It does suck that it only hits for 2 instead of 3 when it costs 4. But, I mean, in the right deck, you might want to run this. So creatures that come back over and over and over and over and over are highly annoying. But if you're losing the game and you don't have 3 creatures, you're in trouble. I just wanted to let people know, hey, there's an alternative. You know, it's practically the same damn artwork. It's practically the same card. So hey, if you found something to do with it, more power to you. And that is the last card. So once again, I did skip really obvious stuff like, oh, History of Benalia, that's a good card. Oh, Benalish Marshall, that's a good card. Yes, people know that. These are supposed to be like the unexpected ones, the subtle ones, the lower rarity ones, the ones that nobody's playing. Hopefully some of these really opened up your eyes. I mean, I was going to throw Shauna in here actually too for Convoke, but like, really? Would somebody actually miss that? So, you know, maybe just take a glance through real quick, just look at all the cards from Dominaria, and then maybe mod your deck. But I will say, quite a few of the more subtle tricks and very specific cards and, you know, perfect assassin cards were in this video. Hey, speaking of perfection, have you guys seen the awesome t-shirts that I'm selling on teespring.com? If you scroll down to the comments section, right in between the video and the comments section should be the little bar showing off the t-shirts. But that's not even all of them, so follow the link in the video description and check them all out. I got coffee mugs and stuff, and yeah, the shirts are very high quality. I ordered one. They're so comfy. And in fact, somebody from my Discord just said, yeah, the shirts are amazing. They're very impressed with it, and they liked what I put on them, of course. But somebody else, shout out to Marco Polo, who took a picture of him playing Arena with one of my table flip mugs right in front of the monitor. That was pretty epic. You're the bomb, Marco. So check it out. It's a fun thing to wear to F&M. I have heard that it is absolutely confirmed that you will piss off the liberals at your LGS by wearing a shirt with my logo on it. The funnier ones have been getting a pretty good response too from people who just think that they're funny. And it goes a very long way to support my channel. Oh my gosh, I make a lot of money on merch sales. But merch sales have been crap lately because when I first launched, everybody who wanted a shirt bought one. And that was that. So it's been a little bit slow, but you know, if you wanted to get a little early Christmas present for a friend or family, or for yourself because your friends and family are terrible, or if some of your friends and family hate me because, well, I mean, let's just say I wore a Pro Gun shirt to my parents' Christmas party with, you know, some forethought there. There was an intent, there was an agenda, I'll admit it. That's always fun too. So thanks for the consideration. Also, Patreon link down there if you want to check that out, and Patreon gets you into the best Discord ever, mine. We have a channel called Tactical Meme Bunker. It's awesome. And all that just helps me keep sponsors off my videos, because I don't like sponsors. Although there is one I'm thinking about, because I actually quite like them personally. But for now, we're like PBS, supported by, what's their saying, viewers and listeners like you, or something. Or if you're as broke as I am, just keep supporting the channel by watching it. Maybe hit that subscribe button. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next video.